Fernando Mendoza, A+. Mendoza has been a very fantastic prospect for Indiana so far this season. Led them to a national championship win and a 16-0 season. Mendoza has sneaky athleticism and a good back shoulder ball, although he does have a little bit of question marks surrounding him due to the amount of RPOs ran in Curt Cignetti's offense. David Bailey, A+. Bailey gives something to the Jets that they do not have right now, and that is a premier edge rusher. Trading away Jermaine Johnson to the Titans and getting rid of Will McDonald, Quinnen Williams, they are in a full state rebuild. At pick number 2, it was him or Arvil Reese. And so far, Bailey, as of recording this, has seemed to be the better prospect to me after rewatching all of his film tape. And he definitely has a little bit of limited moves. I was watching him go up against a prospect in next year's draft, and he kind of got clamped up, so we'll have to see what he can do in the NFL and how he develops in this Jets system, and if he can ultimately help them. Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love, it's not the doubt of talent, it's the fact that he was taken with the 3rd overall pick. Love is a great player and a great prospect, but you're paying him the most out of any running back in the NFL right now, $51 million on a rookie scale deal because he was taken with the number 3 overall pick. And Love is definitely, no doubt, the best clear-cut prospect in this draft. But for what the Cardinals needed, I don't think it was the smartest decision. Now, they still have James Conner, who may not even play multiple seasons continuing. And then they still have Trey Benson, who is somewhat injury-ridden with the knee injury last year. And Love is definitely a very good prospect. Very versatile, can catch the ball out of the backfield, is fast and elusive. So we'll have to see what goes on, but overall I don't think it was the best decision they could have made at this selection. Carnell Tate at number 4 to the Titans, A-. Tate is a good player. Do I think he's the highest upside receiver in this class? Not necessarily. I think Jordan Tyson, long-term, is probably going to be the best, but for what Cam Ward needs in this offense, he needs a receiver to throw the ball to. We saw Chimere Dike come on at the end of the season, but really, who else do they have? They get rid of Chig Okonkwo, and Tony Pollard is not on a long-term scale deal, and most likely is not going to be back next year. With Tate in this offense, they now have a tandem of receivers with Alec Manor, Chimere Dike, Calvin Ridley, and Carnell Tate. Tate brings something to the offense that is not brought by anybody else. He can stretch the field, he is decent rack, and he can be a jump ball receiver, giving the Titans something else that they do not have in any other receiver to this point. Now, with Cam Ward needing a receiver, this pick is a little bit more justified. Arvil Reese at 5 will be an A pick. This pick is very justified by the New York Giants, and they also get pick 10 in this draft, which we will get to here in a minute. But Arvil Reese is somebody who allows a defense. He can command them, and he's a developmental pass rusher. With them trading away Dexter Lawrence and Bobby Okereke not getting any younger, they may need a new Mike linebacker. And he's definitely not the worst pass rusher I've ever seen. Now, it's up to John Harbaugh how he wants to play Arvil Reese, but he can mostly do everything. And in this play here, we see him QB spying Damon Williams of the Washington Huskies, and he can keep up. He's very athletic, and with everything being said, he's overall, I think, the best selection they could have made here. I mean, at 10, I do think they could have went somebody else. and I think it would have been a smarter selection for what they need. I mean, we'll get to hear that in just a second, but here and now, I think Arvil Reese is the right selection due to the fact that he is very consistent in his play and a great blitzer too. Can do whatever he is really asked to be. Honestly, I think that he may be one of the better linebacking, if not the best linebacking prospects we've seen in the recent drafts. Mansur Delane is a C+ pick. Now, with the trade up, it really doesn't make any sense to me. They could have taken him at 9, and they just got fleeced by the Cleveland Browns. The Chiefs did. And in this trade, they give up a 5th round pick, which could have been used to, because they're so good at developing talent that I don't even think they had it to trade up. They could have taken whoever was there. And if they really wanted a clear-cut prospect that could have played either one, they could have taken Caleb Downs at 9, and I'm sure Mansur Delane would still be there at 9, because we saw edge rushers go in the next couple picks. Overall, not the greatest pick I've seen, and definitely one of the lower rated we will see on today's list. Sony Styles will be a B+ selection. Styles is a great blitzer, with the fact that he can also be one of the best coverage linebackers in this class. Overall, he is the fastest linebacker in this class. Converted down from safety at the beginning of his career, and he allows himself to make a clear-cut case of being the best linebacker, like true-cut linebacker, because Arvil Reese is considered a edge linebacker prototype, but he's a great blitzer, and he'll make the Commanders a better team overall. Combine him with Leo Chanel, they'll be great. Jordan Tyson, B-. Although I did say I am higher on Tyson, I did not say it was the most floor pick. If they were going to go for floor, then it probably would have been Ruben Bain. And I guess they were scared away and they wanted to get Tyler Shough another weapon. So here they go with Jordan Tyson. Great ball control, can control his body, contort it, and make pretty much all the catches in the book. Great effort plays I've seen on the film. And he is definitely one of those receivers that high potential. The question is with him, the injuries. As we've seen with some of the other prospects, Gerard McCoy, as of when I'm recording this, he was taken in the 4th round, top of the 4th, by the Las Vegas Raiders, pick 101. And the injuries definitely hold some of these players back. And here we are with Spencer Fano, and he is, I'm going to put him and Francis Mwaga in the same situation here, but they ran, specifically Fano, he ran a 4.91 at the combine, which is one of the fastest I've seen from an offensive lineman. They can move for sure, and it may not be the most interesting pick for the Browns here at 9 with the trade back, but I think it is the right pick for whoever is going to be playing quarterback, and he is most likely going to be blocking for Shedeur Sanders, because most of the other quarterbacks, when I'm recording this, it is the last day of the draft, they have been taken, with Cade Klubnik going to the Jets. We see Carson Beck go at the top of the 3rd to the Arizona Cardinals. This blocking prospect in Spencer Fano, one of the best pass blocker I've seen in this draft. Overall, I do think that Maui Goa is the better pass blocking prospect, and overall the better prospect for blocking purposes, but if you want to get your clear-cut, most athletic guy, I think Fano is your best bet. He knows what he's doing, and he is overall one of the better tackles in this class. We see here Mwaga's tape. The blocking is fantastic. He moves the edge rusher away from Carson Beck the way he can get there, and the running backs find the holes very well. And especially in the NFL, he's going to be a clear-cut blocker for sure. He is able to keep edge rushers away from the quarterback at right tackle. Who's to say that they don't move him down to guard is a question. But Caleb Downs, A-plus pick. We all knew it was coming. The Cowboys took him at pick 11. Caden Proctor is going to be a C. And Proctor is a good prospect. I skipped over Caleb Downs because we all know why he's an A+. He's the second best, even maybe the first best, whoever you prefer between him and Jeremiah Love. But Proctor here he's a good blocker, especially in the run game. But for where they took him, I feel like it's a little bit of a reach. If they wanted to, they could have traded back and potentially got him and made this pick look a little bit more smart, because if they were to trade up like they did and take him in the back end of the first, it would have made more sense and get somebody else here. With Mansard Elaine being gone, I can see why they decided to go with Caleb, or instead of him, they go with Proctor here, which he is very versatile, as we see him catching a ball there. Ty Simpson is going to be the worst pick I've seen today. Picked at pick 13, which is very self-explanatory. It just makes no sense. They were trying to win now. It makes no sense to me. Vega is definitely one of the better players I've seen in this class, especially one of the better clear-cut offensive linemen, if not the best offensive lineman in this class. The guard out of Penn State is one of the best blockers in the pass game I've ever seen in a draft class. Especially with how young he is, he'll be a great addition to that team in Baltimore. Ruben Bain, I'm surprised he fell so low to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the fact that he is even sliding this far makes no sense to me. We'll get to his teammate Akeem Mesidor later down the board, but we're talking about Bain right now. Bain is one of the best prospects I've seen on the defensive line, especially in the last couple years, and I don't view him as the analysts do, honestly, because the fact of the matter is that even though he has the short arms, he uses them to his advantage and bullies tackles and forces his way to the quarterback. Now, this one's a little bit weird, but I have Kenyon Sadiq, although you may not be able to see it because the editing is a little bit weird with the editing program that I use. But Kenyon Sadiq is a fantastic player for the Jets. Not the pick I expected them to go with. I expected them to go with a receiver, potentially, with Malachi Lemon still there. And he didn't go, and they ended up going tight end, which, honestly, Kenyon Sadiq is virtually a receiver on his own. Although a lot of people do underrate his blocking, he is a straight-up as fast as some receivers in the league right now. And Sadiq, good catch and run guy, finds space, and whoever their quarterback is, whether it be Geno Smith or Cade Klubnik going into this following season, will have a clear-cut target to throw to. Him and Garrett Wilson will definitely help the quarterback. The offensive line with Armand Membu and Olu Fashanu potentially getting better. And Sadiq is willing to lay out for the ball, which is something I very, very much like about him. He's willing to throw his body on the line to catch the ball. Something I've not seen out of many of the tight ends in this class. They'll let it go. Let it go over their head if it's not catchable. This man does not care about his body. Cam Scadaboo's the king of that. Sadiq is definitely on that list too. Blake Miller to the Lions at pick 17 is a C. Miller is definitely one of the positions of need. They fill the position of need with tackle. Do I think he's the best tackle for this pick? No. There is Monroe Freeling, who we will see coming back up, but they didn't take him here. I feel like they should have taken Freeling, but I've seen Miller make some mistakes in his game. He's been pushed back on his heels a lot, as he is not the strongest tackle in this class, and he is overpowered by some of the ends that I've seen. And overall, he's a little bit worse of a run blocker than Monroe Freeling is, I believe, although the running backs do not hit the hole as well as I think they should in these clips. And Monroe Freeling is our next selection at pick 19. I did accidentally skip Caleb Banks, but Caleb Banks, I'll talk about him briefly right here. The tape is very limited. His 2024 season was fantastic, and he's a very developmental prospect. Whether the Vikings can develop him or not, we will have to see. On the topic of Monroe Freeling, I think he's better than Blake Miller, strictly because he's a better run blocker. He can pull better, I think. He's a better puller overall. He's a better pass blocker, slightly. Specifically because I didn't really see him get pushed back on his heels too much. Here we have Malachi Lemon. I'm going to give this a C+. It really just depends, which I think it's finalized that they're going to be trading A.J. Brown to the Patriots. But Malachi Lemon, it just doesn't make sense for them. They trade for Dontavian Wicks, and they have Devonta Smith, which they're just building a core of slot receivers. Although Lemon is very fast on his feet, very athletic, there was some character concerns coming into the draft, especially after he showed up with red eyes at the combine. Definitely some character questions, but the Eagles are willing to take a chance on the receiver out of USC. Honestly, he's very shifty. He's a very good rack catch first guy, I believe. He's definitely a good run after catch guy. His route running I've seen it's decent, but he is just the rack slot, prototypical slot receiver in my opinion. Definitely going to make Philly some use. And as you see in this clip here, he's not all just rack. He can definitely go up and get it. Here we have Max Ihenacho. We're going to put that in the B+ section. Ihenacho is definitely a very good pass protector. We see him go up against David Bailey in the first game of the season out of Texas Tech. And he does get beat some of the times. But when David Bailey is on his side, we see him hold his own and specifically block him very well. Not let him get around him, and then after that you see Bailey's pass rush moves get a little bit repetitive, and he counters it very well. The massive human being going to Pittsburgh is definitely going to help their team. It's a very good selection for them, especially considering they need offensive tackle more than pretty much any team in the league, in my opinion. He can pull when he has to, although he's definitely a better pass protector. And he can do whatever he's really asked to do. I mean, he's tall, he's athletic. Definitely a good pick there. Akeem Mesidor, I do think he's going to make them use, just not in this first season. Mesidor is definitely a little bit older of a prospect, and if you're looking at that from that angle, he'll turn 25 going into this season. And considering that, if you're going to let him sit behind Khalil Mack, he'll be 26 going into his second season, and he's just not going to have the amount of time to develop as you think he needs. And that's ultimately what put me in that C sort of range for this pick. If you're going to ask him to be the developmental prospect before starting first, it's just not going to turn out too great for Mesidor. On the flip side, you have Malachi Lawrence going to the Dallas Cowboys, which I'm very questionable about this pick. I have no doubt that Lawrence is a good player. I projected him to go in the second to third round, but I didn't have him as a first round pick. Lawrence reminds me a lot of what we saw out of Mike Green a couple years ago, who went to the Baltimore Ravens in this sort of range. He's very fast off the edge and definitely can make plays. He makes plays against the he makes plays against the run very often, especially considering whenever he gets off the edge quicker than the tackle, you could pretty much guarantee that that's a run stuff. And he's good at forcing fumbles for the team, and he gets around tackles very well. But considering he's not a premier edge rusher, you have to think, what were the Cowboys thinking? They could have got him in the second or third round. There was much better prospects on the board, I do believe, and much more defensive needs. Casey Concepcion going to the Browns is a B-plus pick for me. Concepcion is a very, very good rack receiver, and he's very athletic. You can find his way out of, as you see here, punt return. He's very fast and very quick on his feet. Good first steps, and combine that with Denzel Boston, who they took in the second round. Somebody that if you know, you know. He's one of my favorite prospects I've seen. Maybe a little bit biased because I'm a Washington fan, but we'll see. I will definitely be watching the Browns because of him. And Concepcion is he can jump for it, good in contested catches, even though he's more of a slot type receiver. We'll have to see how he does. Overall, I think that he's very good effort, and he has grit in his game. I think he'll be pretty good for the Browns. Dylan Simon falling to pick 25 to the Bears is an absolute steal. Simon is one of the best safeties in this class, if not the second best safety behind Caleb Downs. Simon has incredible instincts, and as you see here, the final play against Penn State in second overtime, gets the interception to end the game. He is very, very instinctful, a great tackler, matter of fact, a great tackler, great instincts, can break up passes better than anybody I've seen in this class. That counting corners, he's very, very athletic and will make the quarterbacks questioning target him. He hits very hard for a safety, and reminds me a lot of Harrison Smith coming out of college, even though that's been so long ago. He's a very good tackler, very hard hitting safety. Will definitely serve the Bears well, potentially in another playoff run, as we see another interception here. Just great instincts for a player who's going to be good in the NFL no matter what. We see Keelan Rutledge go to the Houston Texans, and he's a good guard for their positions of need. Rutledge is definitely what they needed in the first round if they could get one. I don't know if Rutledge would have been the guy I would have gone with in this position, but he's very good offensive lineman and can definitely help their team. They tried to go with Kenyon Green a couple years ago. He didn't work out. They traded Laramie Tunzel, and their offensive line has just been in shambles ever since. Rutledge should help with that, and overall, it should help them control the line of scrimmage much better in the run game. Maybe give Woody Marks a little bit more run room to go with. No more Joe Mixon, obviously, not like he did anything anyways, but this guard will definitely help the run game and potentially keep CJ Stroud upright for a little bit more time. One of the worst offensive lines in the NFL gets a little bit of help. Maybe they produce like they did in their first season in the playoffs since Deshaun Watson. Just gonna throw that out there. So, maybe, just maybe. The defense for them, they don't really want to mess with it if I had to guess. So, going with the guard in this situation is the best pick for them. Okay, so we have Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. Very good tackler for a corner, surprisingly. Very physical, very hard runner, and very good instincts. Reads the quarterback's eyes very well, and a great cornerback to add for the Dolphins at pick 27. He should help their secondary. Obviously, they would prefer most likely Mansour Delane out of this draft class, but the Chiefs trading up, which still makes no sense to me because they were ahead of the Dolphins, makes this pick look a little bit more valid. They trade back up into the first round. If they had taken Mansour Delane with the 11th overall pick, if the Chiefs didn't take him, then I think this pick would have probably been Caleb Proctor. So here we see Caleb Bloom, great puller, going to the Patriots with pick 28, who they traded up to get. He is definitely going to help them, although I'm not sure where he'll play with Will Campbell being on the left side. Potentially they move him to right tackle. Potentially they slide him down to left guard. We'll have to see what they do there. This pick was pretty good, though. Seeing what I saw on film, he is a very dominant offensive player, very dominant tackle, didn't allow many pressure on the quarterback, and I think when I was doing my mock drafts, he only allowed 1 or 2 sacks I saw. So definitely one of the best picks of this draft for the Patriots. If you want to see a second round grade or an overall draft grade, let me know in the comments. I will make sure to do that. Peter Woods going to the Chiefs at pick 29. This pick came via the Trent McDuffie trade, and I don't know if I really like it too much. What really needs to happen, they really have to trust what they're going to do, because first of all, Peter Woods, you see in the middle here, great run stuffer, great run stopper, very good instincts for a defensive lineman, but he's not like a Caleb Banks. He doesn't allow you to rush the passer. He's definitely a first or second round guy. If you want to get a full development for Chris Jones, for him to develop from Chris Jones, then he's going to have to develop the pass rush. And the pass rush is really what he needs to develop. If they don't develop that, he's just going to be a really good role player and potentially a little bit of less hyped coming. He may be good, potentially, but I view a couple other defensive tackles that were taken in the second round a little bit better than Peter Woods in my overall grade. It's not a bad pick, but it's not a good one either, personally. Omar Cooper, this pick is a very good one for the Jets. Whoever's going to be playing quarterback is getting a fantastic receiver to throw the ball to. Cooper, very explosive, good route runner, and a definitely deep threat. We saw him explode this season, coming with Kirk Cignetti, and overall, he was one of Fernando Mendoza's favorite targets this season. He is very explosive, very fast, good route runner, good after the catch, and he's definitely going to help the Jets significantly. The Jets now have 3 receivers, or technically 3. They have Omar Cooper, Garrett Wilson, and Kenyon Sadiq, who they took earlier in the draft. This pick was definitely one of the best I've seen from the Jets. So in the first round, they totaled David Bailey, Kenyon Sadiq, and Omar Cooper Jr., leading me to believe if I was to grade an entire first round, they have the most amount of picks and the smartest picks, in my opinion. Just going to throw that out there, because these were one of the best, some of the best picks I've seen by the Jets organization in a while. And concluding with that great catch in Penn State. Now for an interesting one. Keldrick Falk, whom the Titans traded up to get the 6'6" specimen out of Auburn. The Titans traded up with the Bills, gave them their second-round pick, and this was an interesting pick. Was the best edge left on the board. Preference for the Titans, I think, did lead to them taking him over TJ Parker. He is a great run stopper, and he is honestly a pretty good pass rusher as well. And he was hyped up to be one of the top prospects in this draft class. Now, it didn't really turn out to be like that. Falk ended up with 7 sacks this season, but still happened to find his way into the first round. And I think it's not a terrible pick. I think it's honestly a really good value pick. They could have got him potentially in the second round, but TJ Parker was still there, but I don't think they wanted to take him in the first round. They traded up, they got their guy, and overall I think he will fit well into the Robert Saleh era of this team. That being said, he does have things to work on. Things such as pass rush moves, and potentially finding his way more towards the quarterback, working on that speed a little bit. Isn't the fastest guy, I'm not going to say he's the strongest guy, because he is extremely powerful, a very good power rusher, and I think he will overall add something to their offense to the defense that the Titans overall needed. And that brings us to the last overall selection. Jadarian Price is going to be a B- selection for me. I think he will complement Zach Charbonnet very well. Great receiving back, and overall a very good prospect. Playing behind Jeremiah Love complemented him very well, and he is definitely more elusive than Zach Charbonnet, so maybe he, going forward, is the number 1 running back. We'll have to see. But he has a quick burst of speed that I've seen in some other running backs, but he breaks tackles more than the elusive running backs that I see nowadays. So, with that being said, I think he'll definitely help their offense. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Comment if you want me to do a longer version of this with every draft class, or every player in the draft class. But that being said, have a blessed day.